Podcast City Network.
Thank you for tuning in on this episode of the Everett Show. But before we get on with the guest onto the program today, there's a couple things I do want to mention that you can help out with supporting the Everett Show.
If you're looking to start a podcast and already have a podcast and you're looking for an affordable podcasting hosting site, Podbean's your number one choice. Podbean offers statistics with in-depth analytics to manage your podcast needs. Use the promo code podbeam.com/pbsignup and get a free month off. That's podbeam.com/pbsignup to get a free month off and see why 1,500 episodes have been shared all over the world in the past 11 years with over 3,000 subscribers that have chose Podbeam as their number one hosting site. And if you're looking to get into advertising, Podbeam advertising, you'll get $100 off advertising when you sign up as a sponsorship over on podbeam.com/pro/pbsignup. That's podbeam.com/pro/pbsignup.
You're listening to the Everett Lee Show.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Everett Show. It's been a while since I've done a live podcast of the Everett Show. Since I figured I got the mics corrected, the mixer took a dump, and I pretty much got my old original mics. And then, of course, the cameras went out. I got those working again. I got everything working, and we got live, clear audio. Sound off in the chat. Give me a thumbs up or a GIF or an emoji in the chat if you can hear me loud and clear. I don't sound like thank you, David. I don't sound like one of those half-painted Joker podcasts off of Blog Talk Radio that brags about false information, but you got the Everett Lee Show. Everett Lee's live here in living color, baby, as the American Dream Dusty Rhodes would say. And I have to say, tonight, it's happy hour with my guest. He's independent wrestler. Happy hour. What's up, man?
You see it, man. Me getting my 24-ounce curls in.
Your 20-ounce curls in, brother.
Oh, yeah, man. You know, it's always a workout. It's got to be a happy hour style of workout. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, so we're good to go.
That's great. That is great, man. I love it. And let's kill that intro right there. Okay. So this is great. Just kicking back and having some cold ones with you tonight, man. I enjoyed last week when you were on David C. Russell's Deathmatch Wrestle podcast, which you can listen to on Podcast City Network. You can check out Deathmatch Wrestle podcast. I'm wearing this shirt because I couldn't find a damn shirt to wear tonight. So, you know what? There you go, David C. Russell. Thank you. Give me that thumbs up and or whatever the hell you call that there, the Ronnie James Dio.
The horns, man, the horns.
Yeah, the horns. You listen to any heavy metal? What type of music do you listen to, Happy?
Oh, you know, I listen to a lot of stuff. I mean, I like classic rock. I listen to a lot of classic rock, a lot of alternative. I do like some classic metal. I like older hip hop. I don't care for the pop stuff now where the hip hop is just all like chorus and auto tune. Not my thing. I like the classic hip hop that tells a story. I like old country. You know what? I like some old country because it tells a story. So I'm all about that. I don't really care for this country turned pop stuff lately.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't either. I'm not too much into the country pop thing. I like collaboration with artists, but the country hip hop, it kills me, man. It just kills me when I hear that stuff. I'm just like, are you kidding me? Because I prefer classic country, like Garth Brooks, Clint Black, Trace Atkins, and Tim McGraw, you know, like that there. That's my flavor right there.
You know, the sad part is you're talking about that as classic, and I was already in my 20s. That was what, like 25? I mean, names like Clint Black, Garth Brooks. Yeah, they were from the early 90s, and I was just like, I was an adult then.
Wow. Yeah, I liked our Garth Brooks in the 90s. I'm all 90s if you don't know who Everett Lee is that's tuning in here tonight on this live podcast, dude, because I'm all 90s, bro. Beavis and Butthead, Ren and Stimpy. That's all me, man.
Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. It's the music videos that help make that what it was. I mean, what's it called? That when they tried to revive it like 10 years ago or something, and it didn't have music videos. It was just doing like reality shows, and that's just it just doesn't have the same charm.
No, it don't. It did not have the same charm. I did like some of the episodes. I did like the episode where they're doing the call-in center there, and the people called and said, I understand your frustration. I love that. And the homeless guy trying to be a werewolf. They were So they got
denizens of the night.
Yeah, just to pick up chicks. Just that stuff from the 90s of Beavis and Butthead, how that's supposed to be. It's just I love that. I love that, and I'm excited that Mike Judd is bringing Beavis and Butthead back. I don't know how you feel about that, man.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. If they go back to the original style where, you mix in like obscure music videos that just have something so funny you'll remember about them, that's the kind of stuff that that made more sense. If they do that to mix it in with whatever 5-minute plot that an episode has, then I think that's gold right there.
Yeah, I definitely love the creative mind of Mike Judd there. Did you ever catch Office Space? My favorite.
I watched Office Space. Came out in 1999.
Yes.
I saw that in the theaters. Actually, even better than Office Space, Idiocracy. Idiocracy was fantastic, and that's when looking at things now and looking back, I was like, holy crap, Mike Judge is a prophet. And but also, I don't know if you caught Silicon Valley. So I like the first couple of seasons of Silicon Valley. The last couple, it seemed like they were just racing to a finish line, but the first couple of seasons were brilliant.
I haven't caught that show, Silicon Valley. I heard it was really good because it's pretty much everything that you expect out of a geek culture.
It's basically, high end. I mean, not just geek culture, but taking it up to CEO level and, startups and businesses and venture capital, but also just the way they bridge gaps in there is hilarious. Now, my favorite one, if you after we're done here, get on YouTube and look up Silicon Valley optimal tip-to-tip efficiency. Okay. That is one of the most brilliant pieces of TV I've seen.
I'm definitely gonna have to check that out there. Definitely gonna have to check that out there. I ended up here last month. I ended up going on Netflix and finish up watching up all the Marvel Netflix Marvel shows. Iron Fist, finished that up. Punisher, Jessica Jones, Daredevil. I finished those all up, and man, I wish they would have kept those damn shows going because I got so invested into it. I was wanting more Punisher. I was wanting to see more of a story.
Punisher, I like Punisher because this wasn't a superhero thing. It was, basically what a more common man turning vigilante is, because Batman wouldn't really happen, but I can see someone just going off the rails and becoming like maybe 2/3 of Punisher.
Yeah, I said a while back ago, since in this pandemic, we need Frank Castle. We need Frank Castle to go out and take care of business, and to get to the source of everything that's happening and just take it out and just walk right off in the sunset, man. Frank Castle, where are you? We need you, man. We need Frank Castle. You know you take
Frank Castle took a look at our situation and said, "I'm out."
Yeah, not even Bruce Wayne can even come up with something. Maybe Dr. Crane would be worse if Dr. Crane puts out that fear syndrome, his serum out into air. That'd be crazy.
Have you heard some of these conspiracy theories? Maybe he has.
He probably has. He definitely probably has. I don't know how much of the world's been drinking Kool-Aid, but some of this stuff, man, it's just ridiculous. It's just the one thing I'm upset about is it's affected my entertainment choices of watching pro wrestling, and pretty much what everyone what they've been doing on this pandemic is trying to watch what they can with wrestling when it's available, and going on webcam sites and Pornhub. That's about it, man. And
well, I mean, you take away all the entertainment. People either going to concerts, going to bars, going to games, or hanging out at bars watching the game. Yeah, exactly. They're just going to things that they do when they're stuck at home. And they're just doing it every day now.
Exactly. Like Orlando, here in Orlando, man, they took away. They closed down the bars. They have closed down the bars, and the mayor's like, they're not opening up until we get a vaccine. Really? Mm-hmm. It's like, come on. But you're allowing wrestling, which I don't mind, but other things you're allowed happening, but you're not letting bars open up. I mean, Orlando. And if you really want to see what a real life Gotham City looks like, Happy, go to Orange County, Florida. If you want to rape, pedophile, and do anything, go right there, because Casey Anthony came from there. I don't like Orange County. They need to, we need Bane to come in and just separate it from the rest of Central Florida. Because what got me was, I'm serious, what got me was a few weeks ago we had this supposedly hurricane that was coming by. It didn't even touch us. We got some wind. It was basically like it came by and farted on us and took off. And then on the news, I had to click off the news. Orange County's buckling down. Really? Why? You're all the way almost in Tampa. This thing's way out here.
Yep.
Come on, man.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Where do you live at? Upstate?
I'm in Pittsburgh. No, I'm in Pittsburgh. Yep.
Pittsburgh.
Yep. So I'm basically. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
How's the wrestling up in Pittsburgh up there? How's that going on up there? I haven't heard much.
Area, well, here's the thing. Pennsylvania has added a lot of restrictions with regards to wrestling events. So only those with high enough revenue to comply with all the regulations are the ones that are operating. So in the Pittsburgh area right now, IWC, International Wrestling Cartel, and also Fight Underground are running. So IWC has done shows there, with I guess socially distanced situation. I could be wrong. I know there are some places doing, like Fight Underground is doing empty arena, and what they're doing is they're recording and then uploading the episodes. Or releasing them in a staggered format, so that way, you get a couple of matches or a few matches per episode.
Okay. That's I mean, that's good. At least they're putting content out there. That's the thing I like about it, is at least they're putting content out there, and people could go out there and they can watch the content that's on there. And you wrestled for that promotion, haven't you?
I wrestled for Fight Society. So Fight Society is the predecessor to Fight Underground. So Fight Underground started a few months ago, and basically Fight Society was supposed to have died back in December, which I guess technically it did, but the creators of the idea liked the idea so much that they wanted to bring it back into their own organization, because apparently there was some business related falling out with the person who owned the building where the shows and the training was taking place. So there was a parting of ways, and then you have Fight Underground. So basically, the booker, that was his idea to begin with. So he took the idea with him and is continuing it now.
Okay. That's pretty amazing there, how it morphed into something else there. But you've wrestled pretty much your career up there in Pennsylvania, or pretty much all over.
No, actually, believe it or not, I actually just moved to Pennsylvania a little over 4 years ago. So I actually have only been wrestling up here the last couple of years. Prior to that, I actually wrestled most of my career down south. So South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, Louisiana, Texas, and Mississippi. So, a lot of my wrestling for most of my career was in southern states. There was a period when I lived in Michigan where I was wrestling in Michigan and Illinois and Wisconsin.
Oh, nice. I love what I see up in Michigan with independent wrestling, and I've been getting a little bit more familiar with that because of MIW, Wrestling Rage.
Yes.
Shout out to Cody Fleming and the boys for turning me on to some really good Michigan wrestling up there. And like Blue Water Championship Wrestling, they have some amazing talent there that's in Michigan there, man, and out of that promotion.
Mm-hmm. So before we digress too much, let's bring back, since this is your show, you popped your commentator cherry on Saturday. So tell us about your experience, some key members of the card, and anything new you discovered along the way.
Okay, we were talking about this before we went live here, because you brought it up there and said, hey, I heard that I did pop my live commentary cherry over the weekend here. Me and Chris Carnage, it's not a secret if you've been keeping up with the Everett Lee Show and Knockout Wrestling out of Lake County, Florida. Knockout Wrestling, a while back ago, a few months ago, approached me and Chris Carnage and Podcast City Network about a partnership. Podcast City Network, the company that Chris Carnage, myself, and Craig James from Final Score, we own that company, and we pretty much are the main sponsor of Knockout Wrestling. And with that came a deal where we were given an opportunity, me and Chris Carnage, to do commentary. So we took that opportunity up and produced a show for Knockout Wrestling called Double Down with Everett Lee, where it's more talking about and focus of the talent from Knockout Wrestling. The first 4 episodes of Knockout TV are already up on their Facebook page and their YouTube channel, but post-commentary, it's pretty much easy, because if you screw up, you can go back and you can fix things. However, live commentary, you got to be like click, 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 go, 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 go. And me and Chris did a practice run of live commentary, and with us doing that live commentary there, it was pretty neat, because calling the action live, I just loved it. One of the standout matches from Knockout Wrestling they had at Boiling Point this past Saturday was the triple threat match with Vertigo versus the mercenary Romeo Quevedo and D3. You had 2 powerhouses going up against a cruiserweight and a triple threat. Anything happens, man. Anything happens. There's one spot that we're still talking about, me and Chris, even days after this. D3 got up on the second turnbuckle, and now they had a low boy ring because the Shriner Club they were at, you can't high-flying stuff. So what happened was D3 got up on the second turnbuckle, and Vertigo got in there, and he did this reverse hurricanrana where when it threw Vertigo, Romeo was running, and he speared him. So it was like reverse hurricanrana, boom, spear. And, I mean, the place went nuts. The crowd was on fire. And pretty much that triple threat was great. The main event was really story-driven with everything going on with the World Heavyweight Champion Venom going up against Samuel C. History there with those guys. He had Jason Bates outside the ring there. And then there was, of course, the intergender tag team match. You had Controversial Inc., you had Salazar and La Brava going up against Money in Motion. And they pretty much retain their tag team titles there. La Brava made history as the first knockout women's champion, but she also made history being the first intergender tag team with Salazar as tag team champions. And then the Black Death showed up with the Plague Doctor. They showed up and they chokeslammed this YouTube guy who's locally on YouTube. I said on the commentary to Chris, I said, "Oh man, he just hooked that chokeslam like the smash button on his subscribe channel right there. I bet he's going to want to put that up on his YouTube channel." But just we got together to do this, to tweak out things and use it as a practice run, and we pretty much took mental notes on what to do, what not to do next time we do this, which is great.
Absolutely. I mean, the hard part is, your first go round, you're just basically trying to react to what's happening. So at the least now, as you do a few more, especially once you get familiar with the wrestlers and their portfolios, you can be ahead of the game at that point. I mean, you'll see sequences coming, and you'll be ready to call it with the proper intensity.
Yeah, when I was doing post commentary with George Black, I pretty much had to take the lead there, but I was a lead heel. I'm a lead heel when I do commentary because I pull from the old school of Bobby the Brain Heenan, Roddy Piper. I pull from that because I like that, and I feel that a lot of wrestling nowadays is missing that old school commentary. Now, there's some independent promotions that I've watched that have great heel commentary. For example, FGW, Future Great Wrestling. Shout out to, I'm forgetting name off the top of my head. Anything happens when you go live. And when you had a few of Mike's hard lemonades, too. But, yeah, I ended up just noticing that there wasn't much of that. So I pulled from the best, and I used that and mixed it up to my own, because with my persona being stuck in the 90s, dude. So, bro, let me tell you, man, that Everett Lee, he just loved doing the commentary there. And I got to tell you, Happy, this chat tonight, since I went live, I want to give a shout out to everyone. Chat's on fire. David C. Russell, Deathmatch Wrestling Podcast. Johnny Zeke from Knockout Wrestling. How you doing there, Johnny? Thanks for tuning in here tonight on this live podcast. And Dark Suede from KZW. If you're still watching, shout out to him. But David's been firing. The chat is on fire tonight, man. And if anyone has a question they want to throw out there for Happy, just go ahead, fire off in the chat, and I'll get to it there. And it's just been amazing just coming back here, being live. And I forgot what I was going to ask you next here. And it's been a while.
You're not drinking enough.
I'm not drinking enough. Speaking of drinking, all right, let's talk about that. Drinking. Happy hour. Your gimmick and everything. How did you come up with the gimmick that you have right now and what you are? Because I was looking at the information that you sent me, and wow, you went through a lot of name changes until what we have right now. How did that come about? How did it come about coming up with something that suits you, that the fans love, and they love it when you're in the ring? How did that come about?
Well, so basically, Happy Hour debuted in June of 2018. This was after I personally had taken a couple of years off from wrestling. I thought I had retired. I was moving around. My life was kind of in transition. And when I moved up here, I was like, okay, there's a PWX. Was like 20 minutes away from 20 to 25 minutes away from where I live, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give this a try, put in my tryout, pass the tryout, and get back into shape there. and then PWX eventually became Fight Society. So that's how I was associated with that promotion. But at the time that I decided upon Happy Hour, I had re-entered the beer industry. So I was doing sales and bartending for Fury Brewing Company back then. So it was just a natural connection. I'm already a beer connoisseur, and I also happen to like my fair share of whiskeys. And I think the best gimmicks are the ones where you can actually put your real self into, because then you're not having to pretend to be something you're not. Then that world, you already know how to navigate that world, and when you bring it into wrestling, all you're doing is enhancing on top of that. So when it's natural, that's the best gimmick that you can have.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So beer, I mean, there's been a lot of gimmicks with beer drinkers, Sandman, Stone Cold Steve Austin, but Happy Hour, I love the name, man. I love the name. It's like straight to the point. It's like, all right, it's Happy Hour, and it's Happy Hour somewhere.
Yeah. No. Well, bottom line, it's Happy Hour somewhere. I bring the great time. I am relatable, just like anybody else. After work, you want to stop in at the bar and have a Happy Hour special, right? Get that $1 or $2 off your beer. Get that $1 off or $3 special on the house vodka. Have at it, man. It's time to just kind of let the day ease down. So I'm all about the joy. Whereas you look at the prior alcohol-driven characters. You've got Stone Cold, who was fighting the man or just constantly angry, or you've got Sandman, who just needs to fuel up for battle. And for me, I'm just bringing the beer because it's a good time. You see the beer, a good time's coming.
Heck yeah, man! Of course it's 5. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, as always, man. I love that saying there. It's always 5 o'clock somewhere, and it's always happy hour somewhere.
And extra special shout out to the places that start their happy hour at 4.
Yes, we can't forget those. We cannot forget those.
And, real MVPs.
Yes, I checked out a couple of your matches tonight, and I enjoyed what I seen, man, because the crowd gets right there behind you, man. Very, very entertaining in what you do, and you come out when you're in the ring. You're there to entertain the crowd, and you get the crowd in with you, and they enjoy that ride with you along, no matter how long the match is. And I was watching that one with El Toro. That's all he said. And then I watched the one match where the first match where I can't believe I'm forgetting this right now, but the guy gets outside the ring there, and he's trying to get your beer, and you want
the one with Brohemoth.
Yes, I watched that one, man. You're like, you want that beer? You're gonna take it, and he's like, you're choking him outside the ring there with it. You roll back in, count out, you win.
Hey, at least I can say I've got a win against Brohemoth. Brohemoth is one of the hottest local stars in the Pittsburgh area.
Yeah.
So he's in Fight Underground. Before a lot of this pandemic was going on, he was working a lot of promotion. I think he also works Real Shoot Wrestling and also KSWA, which is Keystone State Wrestling Alliance. So he's very popular. He's a hot item right now locally as far as his star being on the rise.
Nice. I love that, man. And it's hard to find you on YouTube because when you type in happy hour, you get all this other happy hour.
Yeah, exactly. It becomes difficult, right?
Yeah. So I had to go buy some of the promotions that you gave me. Some of the promotions I have here.
I should have mentioned what was that? IndieWrestling.us. So there would have been Fight Society matches, and also I did one of the Ryse shows. So and Black Diamond. So you would have seen 3 promotions that I was in under the IndieWrestling.us subscription.
Okay. And
I should have mentioned that. I'm sorry about that.
no, that's fine. That's fine, man. That's fine. And even before you took the persona of Happy Hour, what other names did you go by before Happy Hour?
Well, so my last iteration was when I was living down south, and I was B Fuirous. So B Fuirous was basically the next generation of Bret Fury. So most of my career was as Bret Fury. So, I'm constantly angry. I'm always fighting the man and always have a grievance. So, I was all about making my fury known at everything and everyone that's trying to oppress me.
That's great.
And then B Fuirous basically, because Bret Fury retired back in 2010, and then B Fuirous was alive in 2014. So that's how that happened.
That's great. I love that.
I do want to mention this right here. I want to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll dive more into the conversation right here. But first, there's a couple things I do want to mention. Since 1995, HighSpots.com has grown to be the company it is by serving the wrestling fans throughout the world with a great selection of merchandise. HighSpots.com has everything a wrestling fan could want, including the latest WWE and TNA releases, classic wrestling merchandise, and their HighSpots.com exclusive releases. HighSpots.com is the leading online retailer for professional wrestling and mixed martial arts, offering autographs, figures, DVDs, apparel, wrestling gear, and even wrestling rings. Their largest clients include WWE, Impact Wrestling, ROH, and AEW. Click on the High Spots logo on the Everett Lee Show page over on podcasty.net to order. Whether you are a wrestling fan, pro wrestler, or promoter, you can find what you're looking for at highspots.com. If you grew up as a kid in the 1980s or just a fan of 1980s pop culture, then ADTs is for you. ADTs sells a huge variety of licensed t-shirts featuring characters, movies, TV shows, video games, and music stars from the 1980s through today. They also have great costumes from 80s pulp culture too. ADTs.com sells officially licensed pulp culture t-shirts. As you might guess, their focus is on the 1980s, but do sometimes sell other cool pulp culture related tees. 80s Tees has been in business since 2000, meaning they like retro 80s stuff too before it was cool. Follow the link provided in the description section of this episode for more. 80stees.com.
You're listening to The Everett Lee Show.
You've also mentioned on the information that you gave me that you got to tag with a couple of legends in the ring. You got to tag with Tito Santana in a match against the great Leaping Lanny Poffo.
Yeah,
tell me about that there, man. I'm interested to hear about it.
So actually, there's a video of it. In fact, I'll check it out in my memories, and I'll tag you in it so that way, because the match is available. Somebody posted a Facebook video of it. So, it was an 8-man tag. It was myself, Trevor Gage, Tito Santana, and Big against Lanny Poffo, Tank Payne, J. Rue, and Chambers. So that was definitely entertaining. A good chunk of the match was basically me versus J. Rue, but making that tag to Tito and the pops that followed were great. And Big was a longtime wrestler in the greater Pittsburgh area. He's actually a little older than me. So there are still a couple of wrestlers out there who are older than me. And he finished off J. Rue with the frog splash.
Wow.
And Big is he's over 300 pounds. So
oh damn, man. that's I'm definitely gonna have to check that out, man. You got to share that because I'd love to see that right there. Now, before the match, did you have a chance to talk with Tito and Lanny? And if you did, how did that go?
Oh, well, it was easy. I mean, Tito was super nice and super chill about it. And he basically is a go with the flow type of guy. The match itself, until the waterfall moment, Lanny didn't really get involved. He basically did his pre-match poem. When the match went to the waterfall moment and everyone was on the outside, that's when Lanny got involved. But actually, even better story is after the show, I was dropping off both Lanny and Virgil to their hotels, and they were staying in separate places. And when we got in the car, Lanny was just hoping and praying the ride was as short as possible, because Virgil likes to bring back old stories, and that whole car ride, I should have thought to count the number of times Lanny was just like, yeah. Yeah.
It feels like everyone who's in wrestling or has some part of wrestling, they've had some kind of run-in with Virgil. I know Ripper Blackheart, he can tell you a lot of stories about running in with Virgil there on last week's episode, when that was released on episode 205, when he was discussing about the Virgil stories. What other Virgil stories can you share you've encountered?
Well, actually, the funny thing, same night, the reason Virgil needed a ride from me was because he actually rode in with Ted DiBiase, and DiBiase bailed on him, and and Virgil needed a ride, and well, actually, you know what? He was actually parked at a hotel, because Virgil's actually from the greater Pittsburgh area. So he needed a ride back to the hotel where he was parked. So that's what was going on. I was just like, wait a second, why does he need a hotel in Pittsburgh when he's from the greater Pittsburgh area? No, but that's actually what happened. But yeah, DiBiase bailed on him, which is why he needed the ride. So I was like, okay, well, that works. But as far as the match was probably about 40 to 50% me and Jeru. So that's all good. I mean, Jeru is a great guy, really easy to work with, and I've known him for a couple of years now. In fact, he was the one who ran the promotion where I had that match with Bro Hemoth. So that was his promotion. And yeah, a super guy. We had details down. The start to it was actually pretty funny, and the better part was at the show, there were fans out there who knew who I was. I mean, mind you, I didn't expect there to be a lot of crossover with the crowds between the promotions I wrestled for and this, but apparently there was some, and it was great to have the crowd with me on that. So that was definitely a lot of fun. Another fun one, the most nonsense match I've ever had, but it was it was probably the most fun I ever had. Look up Happy Hour versus Joey Cuervo.
I'm gonna have to look that up, man.
Yeah, because that's definitely on YouTube. Because that actually, the person who filmed it sent me the YouTube clips, and I was like, "Oh man, Happy Hour versus Joey Cuervo." That was the best, most hilarious. It was a match, but it was a non-match because we opened with a drink off. So yeah, we had to open with a drink off, and then the match was a hilarious botch fest where we were trying signature moves. So I was trying the bartender's elbow. I tripped over him, fell face first. He was trying the 619, but basically did a 613 and crotched himself. And I mean, everything about that, the crowd just ate. That was probably one of my most favorite matches. It was the least wrestling I've ever done in a match ever, and I'm known for not having to do a lot of wrestling, but that was probably the most fun I've ever had in a match. We basically just said, hey, how's it going? Let's have a drink off and go to town.
Nice. I love it. Love it. I want to give a shout out to the chat. Chat, of course, it's on fire here. Scott says, thanks, Everett Lee. Used to be my crazy roommate before he settled down. LOL. Yeah, some stories that just don't share, but the stories he could share, Haha. Watch his face get red. Have a good evening, everyone, and good night. Shout out to Scott, and he said, by the way, Happy Hour seems like a legit good guy. Don't know much about wrestling, but he seems very humble and down to earth. Good luck, Happy.
Oh, appreciate that. Cheers to you, man.
And speaking of cheers, man, I got Mike's Hard Lemonade here tonight. What does Happy have in his glass?
So I'm drinking Other Half Brewing Motueka Chroma IPA. So Other Half Brewing, they're outside of Rochester, New York, and they make some of my favorite IPAs. So I'm definitely, my girlfriend lives about an hour and a half from there. So sometimes when I visit her and we just want to road trip up that way, sure, we'll stop into a few breweries and have some good times.
Nice. It seems like microbreweries. That's the way to go, because you come across some good, really microbreweries. I like those ones that you find along the way when you're traveling somewhere, you stumble upon accidentally. For example, they would call them like you find this hole in the wall place that has like the best food and the best drinks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, I mean, the other thing is, especially as we become more, or I guess I feel like society is turning back to looking to their community more, because we used to be community oriented, then we started branching out. Now we seem to be more community oriented, and a lot of these smaller craft breweries, the locals go there. I mean, that's 90% of their crowd is locals who want to support their neighborhood brewery. So, instead of having to go to so many different places, you probably have, the average person has like at least two breweries within 20 minutes of them. So, to be able to have that kind of option is great, and be able to try local products and going to a local business and getting to know the ownership goes a long way for the community. It's a win-win both for the business and the community. And I think that's really the key. I look at any adult beverage, or the idea behind it, it's a social beverage. I mean, that's what I love about beer. I love different flavors of beer because, truth be told, if I'm by myself, I really don't drink that much.
Right.
Because for me, the fun of drinking is to enjoy with a friend or enjoy with a group of friends. We can talk about the beers we're having, or we can talk about the whiskeys we're drinking. And I mean, that's half the experience right there for me. Otherwise, if I'm just by myself, just pounding beers, then that's kind of depressing.
Yeah. You'd be like George Thorogood, I drink alone. Dun, 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 dun. You get that playing in the background. I actually, sad story. One time I walked into a bar, and I went there alone, and I sat down at the bar, got myself a drink, and I sat there and I'm drinking, and they had a jukebox playing. And guess what song was playing? George Thorogood. I drink alone. I said, what are the odds? So I killed my beer and I said, thank you, bartender. Have a good night. And I tipped my bartender and I left. I was like, I don't want to be that guy, man.
And I figure I'll give a little preview of some news coming up. Since ink's not on paper, I can't make any official statements. However, I am hopefully very soon going to be in the brewery ownership game and in the Pittsburgh area. So yes, any indie wrestler coming through and stopping in a brewery that I own, I'll cut you a little discount on your beers. Support indie wrestling and indie beer, and we'll support indie wrestling right back.
Hell yeah. That's amazing, man. That's amazing. There's a brewery right down the road here from where I live here in right up in Port Orange. It's Tomoka Brewing. They got their own beer, and it tastes pretty good. There's a Total Wine and More back in 2016 when I started the Everett Lee show. After this is like the third time since 2014 I did like a podcast, so third time's a charm. So in 2016, early episodes which people could go back and check on, I used to do a thing called Draft Tuesday, where me and my nephew, who used to be a co-host with me, would come on and we'd buy different brews and we'd drink and stuff. It became like once a week, and then it's like a little bit too expensive. So we started doing it. We started doing it about once a month. At the end of the month, we started doing Draft Tuesday, and I came upon a lot of brews that I did not know exist. There for a whole year, I was only drinking like international beers, like Guinness. That was my drink. Guinness. I tried was it Iron Maiden? I tried their beer.
Oh yeah,
The Trooper.
Yep, Trooper. Yep.
And have you tried the AC/DC one? The AC/DC beer.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, that stuff's pretty good. I've still have not tried. I'm jealous of David C. Russell because he got to try a Broken Skull IPA, and I didn't get to try it yet.
I'll say that I actually got to try it a few months ago when it made it to Ohio. So Ohio got some, so I picked up a 4-pack. It's not bad. It's not like spectacular, but it's not a bad beer because, I was thinking at the least I'll try it because it's stone cold, even if it's all gimmick and the beer's crap. No, but I was like, you know what? The beer's actually not bad. So definitely as long as it's not too old, because with any IPA, I check the date. I do not drink any IPA that's more than a couple of months old because, the hops turn and becomes more bitter.
Yeah. I've had some of those IPAs that it just kills my palate, man. I can't stand it. It's just so strong.
Well, the funny thing is, IPAs just means there's a lot of hops. So you have your West Coast style IPA, you have your New England style IPA, and you have your English style IPA. So the English style IPA is going to be like bitter and malty. It's going to be malty. Your West Coast style is going to taste like pine trees, and then your New England style is going to taste more like it's going to both look and taste more like fruit juice. So you're going to get like citrus notes or melon or tropical type notes with some slight bitterness, but the West Coast styles where you get taste like resin.
Yeah. I ended up trying this one years ago. It was called Devil's Triangle, made here in Florida. And I was surprised that there's a lot of microbreweries here in Florida. So I tried Devil's Triangle. Oh, God, I wanted to throw that thing in the ocean.
Well, Florida actually has a lot of very notable craft breweries. Tampa area especially. Yeah. You've got Cigar City, you've got Angry Chair, you've got Cycle. Those are just three very prominent ones. Hidden Springs is out that way. I can't even remember, but there are actually a good number of. And the reason I just recall all that is because with WrestleMania weekend in Tampa, before the pandemic struck, I actually had a couple of bookings in Tampa during WrestleMania weekend. And that was my biggest disappointment of all this because, I'll mention it here. I was planning on retiring right after that weekend. From wrestling for good because I finally did what I always set out to do, and that's WrestleMania weekend in a WrestleMania city. If I do that, then I've done everything that I've wanted to do, really, and would have called it a day at that point. Right. But nope, I'm still holding out hope that next Mania I get booked on some shows in whatever city it's going to take place in, and that way I can kind of go out having done all the things I wanted to do.
Nice. That Cigar City that you mentioned there, my nephew went to that. The great food, great brew there.
Oh yeah.
One of our sponsors for Podcast City Network, City Limits Tap Room. They started getting in contact with doing local breweries in Florida. And one of the things, when I go to City Limits Tap Room, I usually get the grilled cheese, which is excellent, fries on the side, and the Cigar City apple pie cider.
Yeah. Yes, Cigar City just started their cider game a few years ago because I remember the last time I visited Cigar City, they were talking about the side they were setting up for cider. And oh, wow, that might have been 8 years ago when they had that project started. So, yeah, I was actually in Tampa at Cigar City 8 years ago, and that's where I got all these details. And I was like, oh, wow, let's see, what else is out in Tampa? Rock Brothers, I think, is out there.
Yeah.
Yep. And then there's one, I think, closer to St. Pete. Can't remember off the top of my head, but there's a lot going on in the brewery game down in that part of Florida. That's for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of it down in Florida there. One place that up in Ohio there, Fathead Brewery. Have you tried that? I love that.
Oh. Well, here's the thing. No, I'll say a few things. There's one piece of news that's tangential that I can't give away, but until ink is dry. But anyway, so Fatheads, yeah, I like a lot of Fatheads beers. The Fatheads actually has a saloon here in Pittsburgh, and where 20 of their beers are on tap, and they have a pretty good menu. Their smoked wings are fantastic.
Yeah.
And Fatheads brews a fresh Headhunter IPA. That's an excellent beer. I mean, it tastes, when it's fresh, all the flavors that are supposed to come out. I do enjoy that. The Bumbleberry Wheat, if you want something like an easy, actually, what's a Pimp My Sleigh? That's the one. Pimp My Sleigh.
Yeah.
That's a holiday ale. That's actually quite good too.
Yeah, I've had the Bumbleberry. I love the Bumbleberry. That's one of the ones we had on the early days of draft day here on the Everett Lee Show was the Bumbleberry, and it won. It won out of all the selection that we had for Draft Tuesday back on the early episodes here. I loved it, man. I found it at Total Wine and More. That's where I found it at.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, Total Wine, especially at any Total Wine location, as long as the beer manager has some kind of clue, you're going to have a good selection on the shelves. I mean, I used to live like down the street from a Total Wine when I lived in Charleston, South Carolina. And at least for the first few years that I was there, the person who was the beer manager, had a good idea of what was going on. Shelves often had good stuff. But then whoever the next beer manager was, it wasn't that impressive anymore. I don't need like 8-month-old IPAs that probably are all bitter as hell and good for a commercial.
Yeah, they had Guinness American Blonde, and honestly, that did taste like an American brew, but it was Guinness. That's what got me, man, and I loved it.
Well,
I thought it was great.
The funny thing about Guinness is if you have it in Europe, it's a very different, like the flavors are a little more complex. You get more flavor out of it, whereas here they go with putting it on nitro, so you're focused on like that rich, creamy body. So that's really the focus here. But yeah, there's a lot more flavor in Guinness over in Europe, that's for sure.
Yeah, it has that flavor. I love the stout. I love how that tastes there. I love chocolate stouts, and one of the ones you talked about, Nitro, MVP Vanilla Porter Nitro. I love that, man. Oh God, I was craving that a while back ago for some reason, man. I loved when you pop the can open, how it just like it feels like the cans explode and it just steams from the cap. Oh, dude, I was like, that's my thing. I used to get that there on my days off. I'd sit there and do draft day, and I have vanilla porter on the side there. So we do draft day, and then I would sit there and kill what I've drank and picked out for draft day with vanilla porter, the MVP. I love that. City Limits used to carry it, and when we used to go over there, and they didn't carry it no more. So I was like, damn. So I got to switch it up. They had a chocolate stout, which was great. I forget the name of it though, but they had that there for a while, and then I switched over to the apple pie cider because I just love that, having that there with food I eat.
I'll say this: if you're into the really dessert-heavy stouts, I suggest looking for, either on tap or going to the breweries in Tampa. Cycle and Angry Chair; those guys will give you the beatus. You want the diabetes in your stouts? They'll give you the diabetes. Have a whole bakery in their stouts.
Wow. I had this one stuff. It was like 9.8%. It was called Brother Theolitis. Have you heard of that?
Oh, Brother Thelonious?
Yes, Thelonious. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That.
Yeah.
Oh man, that kicked my gut there. I think it killed my liver after I got done drinking it.
Oh man, no, that's I was going to say with some of these big boy stouts like at Cycle and Angry Chair, you're going to get double digits on the ABV.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was going to say 9% would be light for some of these. Heck, even Cigar City has their membership club where every you can get an allotment of like limited release barrel aged beers, and yeah, some of those are both delicious and boozy.
One of the things I liked that I tried, it was just like something that surprised me, was the Belgium Fat Tire. That surprises me right there. Having that type of brew, the Belgian Fat Tire.
Actually, New Belgium produces a lot of different beers. I have to say, I actually like their what is that? The Voodoo IPA. They did like a juicy version of that, and that was actually really good. New Belgium produces a lot of different beers, both seasonal and regularly. So they've been in the game for a long time.
Yeah, they definitely have. And you said Voodoo. I did try the Voodoo one. Oh man, I think I got the bottle still around here after all these years.
The Voodoo, they have all sorts of iterations of that. They have like at least off the top of my head, I can probably name 5, but they're basically the same kind of beer, just like all one-offs of the same type. So that's what's going on with that. But yeah, it definitely, some of those are actually really good, especially fresh.
Yeah, especially the fresh ones is just great. I even like Sam Adams, the pumpkin spice, when they bring that out. I love the taste of that.
So I will say this: if you get a chance, since we're going to be approaching pumpkin beers on the shelves very soon, if not already, look for Stevens Point Whole Hog. So the Whole Hog pumpkin beer is actually one of my favorites when it comes to pumpkin beers because it tastes like a pumpkin ale versus a Yankee Candle.
That's a good way. That's a good analogy to put it right there. I love that.
So, that's just it. With a lot of these pumpkin beers, it's basically pumpkin spice beers. You'll get all that cinnamon, the nutmeg, and the allspice, and the cloves or whatever. And most of them don't even have any pumpkin in it.
Now, Christmas. I know when we get out of fall into Christmas there, like some of the companies would put out Christmas brews. What do you recommend for like a Christmas beer to drink on Christmas Day or New Year's Eve? What would
it depends what you have access to. Up here, like the Fatheads Pimp My Sleigh, I think is a good one. The Trogs Mad Elf is also a good one. That's a little bit boozy too, but I believe it's a very good beer. That's I don't know how far they distribute out, but they're from over near Hershey, PA. So they do get around to a number of states, but that one I think is a really good one, especially if you like holiday ales, get a little bit of that cherry flavor going on and get the whole holiday cheer going on. But yeah, believe it or not, I actually don't drink a lot of like seasonal ales. So if I find one that really resonates with me, I'll drink some of those, whether it's pumpkin beers, Oktoberfest beers, or holiday beers. I mean, if something just kind of stands out to me, then yeah, I'll be like, okay, I'll take a 4-pack or a 6-pack of that because I could drink that, over a week.
Nice. I love it. I love it. Going to the ring. What do you usually bring with you when you're out there at the ring there? What do you usually bring?
Well, it depends what I'm in the mood for, what my affiliation was. So as I mentioned earlier, in 2018 and 2019, I was with Fury Brewing Company. So I would have 2-pounders of 2 different Fury beers with me. In fact, the promo pic that you had on the poster was my Fury stuff, and I had Fury beers in hand. But let's see, at Intergender Bonanza 5, I had a couple of cans of hams with me. A fan even brought some cans of hams And, as I was exiting to go back, Fan was like, hey, you want to drink a beer with me? I'm like, sure. And he pulls out a Hamm's from his backpack, and we're both chugging Hamm's right there. So that was a fun moment there. Let's see. There's no telling what I'll bring at Intergender Bonanza 6. And wow, that is only a week and a half away.
That's amazing, man. That is amazing there. I love the gimmick. I love your wrestling because you're out there to entertain. Who trained you, and where did you get trained at?
So there are a few different, it's sort of like a hodgepodge early on, and then a little more formalized later. So the hodgepodge early on, so when I first broke in back in 1995, what happened was, so I was a college athlete. In college, I came across credit cards, incurred a lot of debt, and then I was like, holy crap, I'm in a situation where I need to figure out how to raise some money, extra money. So I was, working odd jobs, some security and whatnot. And I was like, hey, back then I was probably about 265 pounds at like 10%, less than 10% body fat. I was super shredded back then. So he was like, hey, you've got an incredible build. I can figure out something with you for wrestling. You want to come wrestle, make some cash, sell autographs and pictures and whatnot? I was like, hey, that sounds easy. And that's how I got in. So I don't know that I'd call it proper training, because later, as the years went on, I realized that this is basically just some guys with a ring that taught me how to take bumps. And that was effectively what it was. I was taking all sorts of bumps, and a lot of my early career was me taking amazing beatings because I was really good at taking beatings. And it always looks good when you're 5'10", 175 guy who's super flippy, and you want to push him to the moon to get seen somewhere, ends up beating the 6'2", 275 guy. That was what I was used as. I was used as a guy who made smaller guys look like giant killers.
Right.
And that was a good chunk of my career. In fact, between the year 2000 and 2014, I did not have a win.
Wow. Damn, man. Damn.
Yeah.
But you enjoyed being in the ring, and
well, here's the thing. I loved it. For me, it was an escape back then. I mean, my prior personas were not really a reflection of myself. Right. Happy Hour is the first time I actually conveyed myself in a character. And, that's where it just became natural. I mean, I was a bartender. I already was a people person. And then, I have the beer personality to go with it. Just in several promotions, especially like during intermission, people are like, hey, can I have a beer with you? And I'm just like, I love that. People can talk, even to this day, there's some people said, oh man, I remember that beating you took, and your facial expressions were hilarious. And I was like, do you remember who put the beating on me? And they're like, nope. And I was like, you know what? Got him.
That is great. That is great to how you can connect with the fans. And if you go to an independent wrestling show and you can connect in some way with the fans, and the fans can connect with you to make them feel like they're part of the show, that night when they go away and they go back home, and on the ride home they can talk about that. It's like, yeah, man, I had a beer at Happy Hour, man. It was awesome.
Here's the better part. The better part is when, like, especially during intermission, sometimes I will actually go and sit with some folks and have a beer with them, give them a minute of my time, because you know what, to them, when I hear from them later that, hey, nobody ever took the time to just kind of chat with us, I'm not putting on an act. I don't have to pretend to be anything. I actually enjoy being able to sit down and have a beer and talk with people, and that's the best part. The fact that none of that is me putting on an act. That's me being me. And I think the fans really like that. There are several promotions. They're just like, if not for you coming out hanging with us, whether it's after the show or intermission, we'd never come back. And there are several now that are saying, hey, let us know when you're back. We will show up.
Nice. I love that. I love that, man. And David Russell said absolutely, and he can't wait. He cannot wait.
Oh, yeah. This is going to be fun. He's going to be at IGB6. I think it'll be a fun time. And I was telling him that, I hope it's a nice, like, low 70s type evening, no crazy weather issues, and we just get out there and have a good time. IGB5 was so much fun that I'm so happy to be able to come back for IGB6.
Yeah, tell me about that event and any other upcoming events that you have that you're going to be at.
So that event is coming up on August 22nd. Stan Styles just announced not long ago that the event sold out. So
wow.
The event is sold out. He just announced earlier, and he said he's taking waiting list names in case anyone has to back out of their tickets, but officially sold out. It was a fantastic event. There were some really, really good matches and really interesting Rumble shenanigans. I actually was wondering if the opportunity would have come up if Mike Orlando tried to hit me in the beer gut. So Queen Aminata tried kicking me in the beer gut, and she scampered off quick when she realized, oh, that doesn't work. She didn't read her scouting report on Happy Hour. And that's why I was just like, when I was looking towards Mike Orlando, I was wondering if he'd take the challenge. But then I was brutalized by Max, and she is a beast. She is a wrecking ball. And I was like, wow, if you don't see that hit coming, you're going to go down hard.
That's great, man. I love that. I love that. And I've had a really good time talking with you on here tonight. But before we do close up and wrap it up here, one last question. Crazy encounter with crazy fans and crazy time at a crazy show.
Oh my gosh. This is so crazy encounter with a fan. Oh, the 90s. What a decade. So this was it was mid to late 1995. So in my early iteration, especially what I call the El Cid project. So I started off as a masked wrestler from Mexico named El Cid, and I was an oversized luchador who can't really flip. So what happened was that was right about when the topic of illegal immigration started really ramping up. So this was in Douglasville, Georgia, actually. That's where it was, Douglasville, Georgia. And the fans were just like really giving me, hey, you're taking our jobs, and they were following me out in the lot, and I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna just kind of circle around the building and just kind of hide there for a bit till things cool off, because there were some legit angry people.
Wow.
And I was just like, and funny enough, that was the only time that happened. Other times, they'd play along, or, they'd understand that, I'm not really an illegal immigrant, but, there was that one town that was just like all in on that. And I was just like, holy crap.
Wow, man. That is crazy. That is crazy. It's like some old school Heat, man. The heel trying to get out of the building before the fans killed him, man.
Oh, dude, like Sergeant Slaughter back in the early 90s playing the Iraq angle.
Yeah.
Oh, man, he took some real life heat.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard he ended up getting he was actually getting death threats from people who were going to kill him and his family because of that. I thought that was
well,
crazy.
the funny part is that came after they had those, like, I don't know what it was back then, but I'll use Photoshop, when they had those Photoshops of him shaking hands with Saddam or something.
I remember that. That was some crazy stuff, man. that was great times. Just great times.
Modern technological advances. Now we just can't tell anymore.
No, we certainly can't. We certainly can't. But it's been great having to come on here talking about brew, talking about wrestling, and just everything in between. And where can people find more of yourself, Happy Hour, on social media at?
So on social media, there is a Facebook page called Wrestler Happy Hour. So there should be no ambiguity there. You should be able to find it just by typing wrestler space happy hour. It should be the only thing that turns up. If it's not, please report it to me so I can find out who this imposter is. And on Twitter and Instagram, while I don't use those as much, those are technically active. Other promotions tag me whenever I'm on a show, so you can find me at Wrestler Happy Hour on both Twitter and Instagram.
Nice. And since you plugged that right there, I'm going to go ahead and plug this right here.
Podcast Network, your top source for independent podcasting. Head over to podcasty.net for great content and great shows over on the website. Hit them up on Facebook, Podcast Network. Give them a thumbs up and a follow. Send them a tweet over on Twitter at podcastnet. Subscribe to their YouTube channel for video podcast over on Podcast City Network and on Twitch, Podcast City Network. You want more Everett Lee? Then hit me up on Facebook. Give me a thumbs up and a follow, Everett Lee Show. Twitter at the Everett _Lee. Instagram, Everett Lee Show. And audio portions of this podcast and previously released podcast, head over to YouTube, the Everett Lee Show, Stitcher Radio, iTunes, Podbean, and iHeartRadio. When I need a logo or graphic design done, I use 3 Count Design. 3 Count Design offers a wide range of graphic design products, video, photography, and other forms of media. Everything from t-shirt designs to websites. For more information, head over to facebook.com/3countdesign. That is facebook.com/3countdesign. When I want to kick back a few cold ones with my friends, I head over to City Limits Tap Room. City Limits Tap Room has a wide selection of TVs to watch your favorite sports, indoor and outdoor seating, and they are pet friendly. City Limits Tap Room also has food made fresh to order, and the grilled cheese is excellent. I recommend the grilled cheese and the apple pie cider with fries on the side. You can't go wrong with that, baby. For more information for upcoming events, head over to facebook.com/City Limits Tap Room.
That is pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen, and I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight on this live podcast and downloading the audio portion of this podcast. Everett Lee signing off. Everyone have a good night, and I'll see you again next time for another episode of the Everett Lee Show.